is now being recorded.
And he is a long-term association expert. He runs his own practice, and he's been essentially providing support to chambers and associations for over 20 years. And he is also an instructor at the Chamber's Institute of Organizational Management, which is sort of one of the premier places that individuals can go to get professional qualifications in managing chambers and associations. And with that, I'm going to turn this over to Bob to begin really the focus of this part webinar, which will be on Association Strong, essentially addressing the pandemic situation in Africa and around the world, and really start beginning to frame and discuss what association chambers can do. The idea here is that we will actually, with Bob, have a four-part webinar series. The first two will be focused specifically on what associations should be thinking about at this point during the COVID crisis. And then in addition to that, we are actually going to try to have a web chat during one of our webinars where each of you can come and talk about specific problems that you might be encountering or success stories. And it's sort of going to be a web chat as it relates to asking the experts, which will include Bob and some other African association experts that we're in touch with. So with that, Bob, I'm going to hand this over to you and to carry on. Thank you.
Thank you, Lars. Thank you to CIPE. Always a pleasure to work with CIPE. I did read the newsletter, Lars, and it's full of good information on what the chambers and business associations are doing in their countries or in their regions. And I think that's going to be awfully important when we're doing advocacy and people are saying, what do you do for me? And you have actually been the organizer of good deeds for frontline workers, for hospitals, for taking care of people. So what I saw in the newsletter reporting what's going on with the business associations and chambers of commerce, I really want to commend. I only see one or two videos on. I don't mind if there is a video so that I can actually see. There are a lot of friends on the phone, and I'm always glad to see your reactions and to hear from you too. So don't hesitate if you want to reveal yourself, Wumi. I will tell you that in January of this year, we turned to a new decade, and associations in the USA, and there's 150,000 associations and 7,000 chambers of commerce. All of them are voluntary memberships. All of them have to commute. Hi, Greg. All of them have to communicate value to their members. So the association and chamber profession is truly a profession. And I have great respect for the professional staff that are on the phone today on the call, and also to the volunteer leaders. So I think we have a combination of volunteer leaders and staff, and both of you are partners and in advancing your mission and serving your community. I do teach for the U.S. Chamber of Commerce Institute for Organization Management. Hi, Kevin. And I teach strategy, I teach management, I teach governance. So those are some of the topics if you'd like to ask questions throughout today. Also, you're invited to follow up with me after the webinar. If there's something that you say, Bob, there's a sample or a model that you gave to us and I'd like to have a better copy of that, I'm certainly happy to do that. On my jacket, you can see that it says Certified Association Executive, or the lapel pin is. And it is the standard in the USA that the American Society of Association Executives does issue a certification for those people who have gone through the testing on governance, on finances, on advocacy, on volunteers, on membership value. So in the USA, we have about 4,000 people who are certified association executives. And just wanted again to give you that resource. If you have questions in any of those areas, you're so welcome to do that. So we got a new decade in January. The associations were really excited. New decade, most of them had new strategic plans. Our strategic plans tend to run 3 to 5 years. January and February, I went around the country and I worked with boards of directors and associations, chambers and associations, boards of directors and strategic plans. And then came March and everything came to a halt. And associations are really all about getting people together. So the meetings, we canceled them, we postponed them, we delayed them. The board meetings, the committee meetings were done remotely. Because of the virus, the offices are closed, the staff is working remotely. Some of you are in the same situation. The impact for the associations are the budget, the membership value, the ability to advocate, the ability to communicate with each other. So I want to share some of the impact with you. I want to share some of the best practices. I want to talk to you about budgets today. I want to talk to you about staffing. There's a couple of the slides have some samples in it that I always believe that a picture's worth 1,000 words. So if there's something that you see or that I can get for you, I'm glad to do that for you. So all of a sudden, we're in a situation we've never been before, and the associations in the USA run up to 150 years old. The boards are not able to meet, so we're having remote calls, which is really awkward for many situations when you need to read body language and see each other. The conferences are closed, the expos closed, the sponsors are backing out. So we're adjusting. We're still doing advocacy. One of the most important things to be doing. You want to be positioned as the indispensable resource and the trusted partner to your members. Indispensable resource and trusted partner. So you need to advocate, you need to listen to your members, and I want to turn every challenge, every urgency that they have into an opportunity. So if I can listen to the members, I can catalog, sort what it is that they're saying. They may have missed deadlines in their filings. They may have to have a shortage of supplies. They may not be able to open their doors. So they're asking a lot of things of their trusted partner, their association or their chamber of commerce. I see those as opportunities. So associations are still advocating, which is essential. They're still providing service to members. Members still need discounts, they need insurance, they need opportunities in the future. They're still providing support, but I would be careful of virus fatigue. If the front page of your website is nothing but COVID-19, I think members are going to say, I can find that elsewhere. What you're putting on your website still needs to promote value to the association, and be careful that you're not regurgitating everything that comes out that they can find somewhere else. So make sure whatever you post or whatever you're giving to your members is packaged for them, summarized for them. That's what an association does, is to glean the information, to summarize it, and make it usable to our members. So the associations, the last month, March and April, it feels like our house is on fire. And what I want to be sure is that your association does not burn down. Thank you. Want to make sure that we're not losing the association because we're responding to members' needs. So I still have to look internally at governance. I have to look internally at the budget. I have to look at our marketing and our advocacy. So we'll talk about some of those things today. So don't let the association or the chamber burn down as you've got all these urgencies. Focus inward, make sure, and I understand we may be ahead of you when it comes to pandemic and economic recovery. You're going to be responding to members, but don't forget to keep the association healthy and yourselves healthy. A positive message, avoid burnout. Celebrate what you're doing. Let the members know what you're doing. Celebrate the achievements that you have. And let's go to the first slide, and I'm hoping that people have a copy of the handout. If you don't, we'll certainly get it to you. There is a slide deck, and there's a number of slides I'd like to share with you. Michael, thank you. So the first thing is it says sustain, survive, and thrive. That's it. I need to sustain this organization. I need to keep it healthy for the future. You may have been here 10, 20, or 30 years or 1 year. I want to position the association to be healthy and to serve the community. Associations and chambers of commerce are invaluable when it comes to the economy, to employment, to jobs, to advocacy, to corruption, to transparency. So keep the association healthy, sustain it, survive, make sure that you're still here at the end of 3, 4, 5 months or the end of this year. And I'd like to, Lars, think that they can thrive too, that with the right support of sharing amongst each other and with CIPE, that you will thrive this year and you'll turn the opportunities, the challenges into opportunities. Can we get, if you get 1 or 2 ideas from this session, I'm going to be very, very happy. You are invited to follow up with me, and then we will follow up again. I believe it's next week. Michael, the next slide. Future webinars, if you'd like. Here are some of the things that we could talk about, because I want your organization to be healthy. Governance, the role of the volunteer leaders, the role of the committees. Talk a little bit about it today, but we could do a whole day just on governance. Finances, budgets, revenue, diversity of revenue, savings. The third one, advocacy, taking positions, reaching the government, reaching the media, how you're communicating, or representing the interests of your members and advancing your mission. The fourth one is membership, the value. What do you offer to your members? What is the value? What's the return on investment? And I want to say to everyone on the phone that nobody joins an association just because it feels good. They are expecting return on investment. They expect you to communicate value. So how you package even what you do today and let your members know, here's what we've done for you today. Here's how we advocated for you. Here's the services we've developed as we go through this pandemic together. So packaging your membership service and benefits. And finally on that slide is strategy. Some of you have a strategic plan. I took the time to look at your websites. Most strategic plans are 3 to 5 years. And it's, if we can talk about that, I'd certainly like to do that and give you some examples of good strategic plans too. If you heard anything about strategic plans are dead, that's not true. Strategic plans are the roadmap for the leadership, the staff, and the committees. They keep the board of directors framed, working in a certain direction to advance your mission, your vision, your values, and your goals. Next slide. Sharing resources, that's what associations in the community does. CIPE is the platform for that. But in every one of our states, we have a society of associations and a society or association of chambers, and we don't really keep anything secret in our associations. We know that if someone's doing something good in Kenya, then they may be doing something good in Nigeria that we can learn from each other. So if someone's got a great policy, a great model for remote working, a great style of a strategic plan, this is the platform for sharing. I really do encourage that, and I know that CIPE is a platform for that, so I would encourage that. Thank you for your service again to the volunteer leaders and to the professional staff that are probably staying up longer than 12 hours a day to make sure that you're advancing this. At the bottom of that slide is my website. Nonprofitcenter.com is my company. Everything on the website is free. You are welcome to take anything off of that website and adapt it for your needs. Or you can leave my name on the document and blame it on the consultant from Tallahassee, Florida, USA. Next slide. I like to write. Yesterday I finished an article and I included some examples from Africa, but on the importance of advocacy during this pandemic and economic recovery. I've got to represent my members' interests. Every one of you is doing something different. Some of you are approaching government directly and asking for relief. Others of you are providing support for hospitals, frontline workers, for persons who need support. It's all advocacy. I like to share those kind of articles. I like to document them. So there's a website called multibriefs.com. And I think every couple of weeks they put out news for associations. I think if you were to glean the review, multibriefs.com, you may find some things that you like. The one on adjusting budgets talks about new programs for revenue. The plan for recovery talks about creating a short-term plan. The professional development, make sure that you are getting your professional development even though meetings may have been canceled. Let's go to the next slide. This is my pride and joy. Those are all free resources. There's over 1,000 documents. Kim, thank you. 1,000 documents that you're going to find if you need how to write an agenda for your board meeting. What's the role of your treasurer? What makes the behaviors of a good board of directors? You'll find there it's very often easier to use me to say here's what a good board member does, as opposed to you're trying to educate a board member yourself. So all free, nonprofitcenter.com, all free. Let's go to the next slide, Michael. That's my favorite book, The Business Associations for the 21st Century. It is free from CIPE. It's in a number of languages. It's about 106 pages and longer than that. And what you will find in it is the most important areas of running an association or chamber, such as coalitions, communications, advocacy, membership, strategy. And then it's full of checklists so that you can sit with your staff or a committee and say, have we checked all the boxes? Have we done everything we need to for a successful meeting, successful membership campaign? It has sample bylaws, a number of samples. I believe that it really should be something that staff members have looked at, that you know that there's a resource for you. And to me, it's one of the best resources because it gives you a checklist of exactly what you need to do almost anything in a business association or chamber of commerce. So good work to CIPE on that one. I really, really like the resource, and it is free, so thank you for doing that. Michael, next slide. This was the managing director. She's the executive director of the International Monetary Fund, so you can only imagine how busy she is, and I liked what she said. We'll get through this, but how fast and how effectively will depend a lot upon the actions that we take. That's what we're talking about today. You can have your association on fire, you can be disorganized, or you can create a plan. And I would look at 3 plans if you're making notes right now. I think there's a plan that gets you through the next 60 days. What are we doing in May and June? I'm working with my committees, my staff, my board. What are the immediate short-term things that we need to do? Communications, technology, equipment, messaging. So the first planning is for the next 60 days. After that, and all of you really should have a strategic plan, but I think you have to pause the strategic plan. So the second plan that I need to have in my office right now is what are we doing from July to December? We've canceled a meeting. We want to transform that meeting into webinars. We want to have happy hour with our members in the evening so that we can listen to what their concerns are. Happy hour or town hall with our members. How often are you going to do that? If you can't have your summer conference or exposition, then how are we going to replace that? So I'm looking at a plan for the next 60 days, what's immediate to make sure that we have what we need to. Then the next 6 months, and then starts 2021, where I hope that we'll get back to our strategic plan. If you don't have a strategic plan, we can talk about that at another session. To me, your strategic plan communicates value to your stakeholders. Your strategic plan is always on the board table. When the board meets and someone has an idea, you should be able to look at your strategic plan and see how that advances the mission and the goals of the strategic plan. The strategic plan keeps the board framed in their role in governance and advancing the organization. So immediate plan, 60 days, the next 6 months, What are we going to do to deliver value to members and survive and sustain our organization? And then let's hope in January 2021, we can still open up our strategic plan and continue with that one. Michael, the slide. Associations are made for times such as these. This is a new association, less than 4 years old, from Ukraine. The executive director is studying to get her certified association executive designation from the USA, the American Society of Association Executives. I just thought that she said it very, very well, is that associations will survive, that we know how to do this stuff. And for associations in the USA, this is not our first virus. It's not our first pandemic. It's not our first war. It's not our first recession. We have survived through hundreds or 150 years of this sort of thing, and we will survive again. So I really like what Katerina said from the Young Manufacturers Association. Let's go to the slide. Next slide. So here's what all of you bring to the table. And it's unique in that these are skill sets that businesses don't all have, members don't all have, but the associations do. And so very quickly, but I want to celebrate what you do. I want to recognize you've got this package of tools that positions you to survive and serve your members and continue to advance your mission statement. So you're really good at listening to your members, whether it's the happy hour or you're answering the phone or receiving their emails, you're giving them the support and cataloging what it is that they're saying they're having problems with. We can't open our doors, the government is closed us, we can't get paid, and those are the things that you're listening to and empathizing. You're the trusted resource. People believe in their association, so they turn to you and they expect a positive, proactive response. And proactive is very important. If you're sitting in your office thinking, well, I'll just wait, that's not the right position. Use that short-term recovery plan to position you to be proactive. So please write down proactive and identify what steps you're going to take. You've got a leadership team, and they know how to be leaders. They know how to reach out. They know how to communicate. They know how to get together and make decisions on behalf of the organization. You already have channels of communication. It may be difficult to get a newsletter out, and may be difficult to communicate, but there are WhatsApp, there's social media. You have established some channels of communication that you're lucky that you can still use. You know how to use technology, or should be learning, especially webinars and Zoom type meetings, so that the boards can still meet. And Lars, I'll tell you, there's something funny that's happening with boards of directors right now. I'm finding a lot of them are absent. They've disappeared because they're fighting for their own survival. And then I'm finding just as many that have decided they want to micromanage their association. So, and they're saying, oh, we need to fire all the staff. So of course, that's not their role. That's the role of the professional staff. The board should continue to advance the mission, serve the members, protect the resources. But there's a balance or a continuum between they're not available because they're fighting for their lives, or they're too available and they're micromanaging the organization. Let's go back to, it's a partnership between the professional staff and the board of directors, the volunteer leaders. On the right column, you're leveraging the resources that you have, and you're good at it. There's never been an association that didn't have only small resources and said, we can still do something with that. You're good at advocacy. You're good at communicating with government, the local lawmakers, regulators, and with the press. You're good at leading or building coalitions. You know that you need to have a seat at the table when there's a coalition meeting. If your industry, if it's the farmers or tourism or women, and they're pulling together coalitions to talk about survival and recovery, you're very good about appointing leaders or getting on those committees to be engaged in the recovery after the pandemic. You're strategic thinkers, and you know how to make a plan. And finally, you're good at finding dollars, whether international grants, local grants, a gift from someone. And I talked to associations yesterday, and a couple of them had said that because they're a nonprofit or an NGO, that they had had some companies come to them and said, we'd like to give you money so that you can distribute the money to those employees who used to work in your industry that don't have jobs anymore. So they were receiving funds from companies to support the recovery of employees or the survival of employees. So being open to receiving and administering money is one of the things you're good at. Those are the strengths of the association. And as I had said earlier, we are a community, and I think that you're well positioned. I know it's hard. You're going to work 12 to 15 hours a day, but you will be successful. Can I go to the next slide? That's what my short-term recovery plan looks like. What are the tasks? We need to have a committee meeting. We need to look at the budget. We need to postpone or cancel a meeting. Those are the tasks. Who's going to do it? When are we going to do it? Who's responsible, and when are we going to finish it? But just some sort of recovery. Make some notes today of what you need to do. See if we can put it into a plan. Michael, the next slide. Lars, I'll tell you that associations and chambers are good at making plans, so this is the time to write it down and get it done. This is a model that I look at when I look at any organization, any nonprofit organization. It's a little bit deep, but it also gives you where I come from. We know I can look at your website and I can see what you do, but when I look at the organization, I also look below the surface. So if it's an iceberg, what you're doing, your image, your mission is on top of the surface, and below the water, I'm looking at how does your board perform? How does the staff perform? I'm looking at performance. Are you meeting the expectations? Are you setting performance standards? Do you have performance metrics? If you say we're going to have a webinar every month, are you scheduling it and you're actually doing it and you're getting good attendance? Incidentally, you've got good attendance today. Thank you very much. Structure. I'm looking at the structure of your organization. Is it clear? Is there bureaucracy? Is there red tape? Do you have affiliated organizations with you? Strategy. Are you strategic or are you tactical? I want my leadership to be strategic. I still want to look into 2021. Tactical is what do we need to do the next 2 months. Strategic is looking into the future. I want my leadership to be as strategic as possible. I'd like them to soar. I'd like them to see the future and share how we can help our members. So I want them to be strategic. Sustainability is about revenue. Do you have the revenue necessary or the opportunities to find new sources of revenue or to build programs that generate revenue? And finally, relevance is about value. Why would I join your organization? So at Cato, at the tour operators, I would join because I want to distinguish myself from unscrupulous tour operators. And I'm aware that you have a certification and you have a code of ethics. So are you relevant? And through relevance, I have to communicate return on investment. Michael, let's go to the next slide. Here's the impact that the pandemic has had on us. Our dues are declining. But I also want to give everyone hope on the phone call. If you are providing essential services to members, they will continue to join, and you will find new members. I have seen associations during this last couple of months that have positioned themselves to be so invaluable to their industry that people are knocking on the door asking if they can join. So that's good news. I'm excited about that. Volunteers, are they still willing to serve? Sponsors, people who said, I want to sponsor something may say, I don't have the money anymore. Conferences we've canceled. And then we have liability that goes with cancellations. Royalty programs, if we have money coming in because people are using our programs and they're no longer open, they can't, their doors are closed, our royalty income will go down. Staffing has an impact, finances, legal issues, and relevance, return on investment. We just talked about relevance. Michael, next slide. I think you have to evaluate, and this is a chance to thrive. A lot of associations build programs that eventually become obsolete. And there's something that I call purposeful abandonment. Purposeful abandonment. And what it is that we develop all these programs. Every leadership team says, oh, we need to offer something new. And at some point you need to say, hey, let's go through what we're offering and let's decide, should we keep it or not? This is a good time for doing that. You can go through purposeful abandonment. And here's some of the steps or somehow I would evaluate your programs and services. If you come out of March and April and in May, and you have a leaner, better organization, it's probably because you got rid of the things that are wasting your time or wasting your resources. So some of the things you're going to keep, they offer value, and maybe this is a time to enhance them. Some things will keep just as is. Some new programs will explore. The members are saying, we need this. Should we have a committee? Should we look at it? Do we have the resources? There's some programs that we're going to pause. We don't need it right now. It's long-term. Let's delay that till 2021. And sunset means there's programs we're going to drop. Program services. You may put out a quarterly newsletter, quarterly magazine that you're going to drop because it's just not, it doesn't keep up with the pace of the news anymore. So you may sunset that newsletter and replace it with a weekly bulletin. So this is a chance to evaluate your programs and get back to, is everything we do using our resources wisely and advancing our mission, delivering value to members? Let's go to the next slide. Here's what executives and associations and chambers of commerce are talking about. So Lars, I'm going to cover through maybe half of these, maybe not even, but let's go through that. The slides continue, and I'm going to give you my perspectives of what the associations in the US are doing or facing so that you're prepared as things ramp up for you. Michael. Virus fatigue. I've quit using the phrase virus or COVID-19 or coronavirus in favor of using the phrase economic and pandemic recovery. Members want to rebound. They want to recover. They want to see us as strong. I want to be the driver or the champion of economic and pandemic recovery. So when I open up a website and it's flashing COVID-19, I really want a little more, hey, tell me you're thinking strategically, you're being innovative, tell me how we're going to recover. Watch out for regurgitating news reports that they can get anywhere. Prepare executive summaries. And continue the programs that you should be doing, delivering value. Let's go to the next slide. This one's important, and you can see the word rumors is crossed out. I think that the media and people of influence will call your organization, and they have to get the facts. If they call someone and they get a slippery answer that's not exactly factual, then it's going to hurt your industry or hurt your organization. So in the USA, you'll find that every organization has an official spokesperson. Very often it's the chief elected, the leader, the chairman of the board of directors. If that person is not available, does not want that role, it's the executive director. But there needs to be a channel of communications, and our communications should be upbeat, factual, and I want to avoid rumors. So I have to tell the rest of the board, don't speak for the organization. We're going to have a single channel for telling people how we are affected and how we're going to recover. the third bullet there is an elevator speech. And what it means is that if you're going to get into an elevator and you go from the first floor to the third floor and you meet a government official or a person of influence and they say, tell me about your organization, you want to make sure that your organization elevator speech is able to be communicated in those 2 or 3 floors or those few seconds. We were founded, our mission is, we represent this many people, our goals are. If you don't have an elevator speech, this is an important time to do it, because the media is going to call you and say, how are you going to handle the pandemic and economic recovery? And you want to be able to say, well, let me tell you first who we are, what our mission is, how many members we have, and what our goals are. The last thing on that slide is really, really important. I'm finding association members and associations are doing good deeds. They are doing a lot of charitable work, whether it's developing hand sanitizer and delivering it to the hospital, or a hotel that's making empty rooms available to persons who need to isolate themselves. These are good deeds that need to be cataloged so that when a media or a government official says, tell me about your organization, you're able to talk about, here's what our members are doing. Here's what our members are contributing. So find a way and encourage your members to share their good deeds, to promote the good deeds that the association and chamber is doing, catalog those. When it comes to advocacy, you're going to want to say, this is how much we gave back. So track your good deeds, save those, post them, and you're going to look back in January of next year and say, look how much we gave back to our community. Lars, I wonder if there's anyone who wants to talk about their own good deeds right now, because I think we can all learn from someone who's done something that someone else could say that's a great idea. So that'd be a good time for any questions or thoughts on what you're doing, what you want to share.
Excellent. We have 2 ways of doing that. One is off to the right, you should be able, or down below, excuse me, you should be able to mute yourself, or as well, you can post something in a chat. And perhaps maybe I would challenge everyone, perhaps you're not doing this, but you know of another association that is doing something that's very innovative in your country, and so feel free to potentially share that with us and everyone else here. Do we have any volunteers? We don't have any volunteers, so I'm going to potentially call out some people.
I'll wait. I'm going to use one example. The young business leaders were the first to purchase the personal protection equipment, the hand sanitizers, and the face masks for businesses, employees, and frontline responders. And they purchased cases of them and thousands of pieces of equipment. And it was the young business leaders or young professionals who rallied the businesses in the community to raise the funds and make sure that the providers had what they needed. I have great respect for that, and I think that will go a long way when it comes to advocacy and understanding what that organization does.
Excellent.
Okay.
I'm gonna
good. From this side is good afternoon, everyone. My name is Wisborn from Zimbabwe. Nice.
Wisborn, please, besides saying the country you're from, please also mention your organization. For those that don't know.
My name is Wisborn Malaya. I'm the Secretary General of Zimbabwe Chamber of Informal Economy Associations. And we are an organization which works with informal workers and traders. Our vision is decent standards of living for all Zimbabweans in a stable economy.
Wisborn, can you get closer to the mic?
Okay. How about this? Can you hear me now?
Just a little bit.
You're a little low.
Okay, let me check my volume in case.
When you started, you were good.
And now? Can you
Still
hear me?
low.
And now can you hear me?
We can barely. We'll try to. Please proceed.
Okay, so I'll start again. My name is Wisbon Malaya. I'm the Secretary General of Zimbabwe Chamber of Informal Economy Associations. We work with workers and traders in the informal economy. This is a membership-driven organization of about 300,000 people, and we have about 13,000 who are very active in terms of contributing their subscriptions annually. Our vision is decent standards of living for all Zimbabweans in a stable economy. Now, coming to the situation, I will straight away get to the situation. Thank you, Bob, for this good presentation.
Thank you.
We are looking at this issue of the COVID pandemic. As an organization, we responded in a threefold way. The first fold was when we heard about this pandemic, and we knew that one or the other, it was also going to affect our members and their workplaces. We tried to make sure we played a safety role. We looked for the hand sanitizers, the gloves, and the masks, and started and we developed material, education material for the health and safety issues of practicing social distancing. And we started distributing that information and also trying to give as much information as possible about the pandemic and how things are happening. So unfortunately, before we distributed those sanitizers and gloves, the country came to a lockdown. And we are on lockdown now where even all the traders were locked down. Only a few are trading, but it's not very it's not flowing well. So under the lockdown, one of the key things we've realized is they were locked down unexpectedly, and most of them, they live from hand to mouth.
Yes.
And they are really hungry, hunting for food. So we have tried to pursue the government through its food support scheme to make sure it gives the members. We submitted our database to the government, and they committed that they are going to give the food support to the members. Unfortunately, they haven't done that yet. They are still saying on the database, cleaning it. But the good news is from our end as an organization, we made that effort. We have not stopped there. As we speak, we have set up what we are calling a current and post COVID-19 recovery document. I think we have also shared that with CIPE as I speak. And within that document, we have put some issues which we are saying these are immediate issues. And we also have what we are calling mid-term issues. And lastly, which we are calling long-term issues. All these will fit the recovery plan. I don't know, can I proceed a bit or for the sake of others?
Thank you very much.
Wisborne, Mr. Secretary General, it's an honor to meet you.
Thank you very much, sir.
Yes. So what I heard and I really like was the being the first as a chamber and coordinating business efforts to identify the needs to get the equipment and to deliver the equipment. The second one is to position yourself as the credible source of information. The third one is making sure that food resources, food support are led or coordinated or advanced by the Chamber of Commerce. And the fourth one is the recovery document being short-term and long-term. So my perspective, Lars, is I would want to join that organization because they have done for the members, for the community, the immediate needs, for the members, their survival, and to offer hope that we've got a short-term and a long-term recovery document. I think the recovery document, if it's available, should be something that would be of interest to everybody on the call. Mr. Secretary, good work.
Bob, and also I think there's one more important point, because I think we have a lot of associations and chambers that are doing great work, but they also have to communicate that through all different types of channels. Because if they're the only ones that know about the good work, you know, I would say they have to, you mentioned this before, they have to share it with their members, they have to share it in their communities, and then they have to share it with government. And then hopefully they share it with CIPE so that we can help them in terms of communicating this internationally. But it's also important at the same time that these stories and these messages are communicated. And one of the ways to do that as well is through the media and through the press.
And I think also what the Zimbabwe Chamber, it has a lot of economic impact as to what they've done, whether it's personal equipment or food. I think that there's not only the activities, but also be able to translate how they have given back to their community, how they're saving jobs, how they're making sure that employees are healthy. I like what I heard very much. I hope that the website clearly communicates that. Good work. Yusuf.
Excellent. Yusuf, would you like to share something?
Hello?
Hi, Yusuf.
Yes. Yusuf, please introduce your organization just briefly, and just in the essence of time, try to keep your comments 2 or 3 minutes.
Thank you so much. My name is Yusuf. I'm Secretary General of the Ethiopian Chamber of Commerce and Sectoral Associations. Can you hear me?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah, good. As you mentioned, the COVID-19 is a pandemic. It is an international issue. And as one of the associations in Ethiopia, what we are doing is immediately when the case was introduced to Ethiopia, what we did was we gave a press release to the media regarding what the business community should do in general. And at this time, the business community should be collaborative. And some businesses, people were making high prices. So it was not good at this time to make artificial pricing. So that we made the price release to the business community so that they can support the consumers. We made a media on television and also on the radios. So this is what we have made. We are also preparing some manuals on what they should do in this case. In some time, in this time, what type of prevention should the business community take? So manuals that can reflect this are already prepared, and we are doing all this. And generally, we are just making awareness for our members.
May I ask you a question, Yusuf?
Yes.
Is the Ethiopian Chamber of Commerce, are you considered the leader of recovery of industry and creating a plan for recovery?
Pardon? I couldn't hear you.
Okay. Is the chamber positioned as the leader that is driving economic recovery?
Yeah, actually, so far we haven't done any study, but what we have planned is to make what the economic impact is regarding due to the COVID-19, what economic impact is going to follow. Actually, we can estimate something, but the scientific have to make a complete summary. So, especially with assistant in we are just trying to make an economic survey so that what interventions can be made by the government, by the business, by different actors. If you know exactly what because what this COVID-19 has affected the business, in what extent, what the number of employees that are being unemployed now, and so also we have to know the impact. So we are just planning to conduct a study.
Yusuf, good work, Mr. Secretary General. I think that you want to be positioned where you are, and to everyone on the call, there is some engagement either through leadership or involvement in what Wisborne said is that we have a current plan and a post-pandemic plan. So the short-term plan, the long-term plan. But everyone at this table, everyone on this call should be in a position where you are not only responding to the members' urgent needs, but developing a plan. Lars, I'm going to go to the next slide if that's okay. And okay, Lars, I didn't hear what you said. I think that's okay. So to everyone, I think you have.
Sorry. We have actually a lot of people who would also like a chance to share some of their ideas, and I'm just tracking the time. I think this is perhaps a good place for us to end our webinar today, and hopefully everyone will join us next week for the second part. I'd like to turn to Grace, who in Kenya, who works with Newsline Media and is a CIPE consultant. And she, I believe, is also with some of our chambers and associations and can share some information there. Grace, can you unmute yourself, or I will go ahead and unmute you, and perhaps you can speak at this time. Also, please, I know we have some questions from Daniel Gitonga from the Ndoyen Kundayo, excuse me if I mispronounce your name, at the Lagos Chamber of Commerce. So you should be able to speak. If you have video, that would be fantastic if you could put yourself on.
Yeah.
All right. Good evening, everybody. My name is Grace from Nairobi, Kenya. I'm a consultant in communications with CIPE. I would like to tell this story, but I think my chambers are already represented here. So I'd probably request that we request one of the chambers, like Daniel Gitonga is from Tharaka Nithi Chamber. It would be nice to hear from them instead of me speaking for them. So Lars, kindly, I'd request that.
Okay, Daniel, opportunity. I stand corrected. Daniel, if you're still with us, can you mind unmuting yourself and continue, or we'll try to mute you. I'm not there he is. Daniel, I'm going to go ahead and unmute you, please. The floor is yours. Please introduce yourself.
Thank you. I'm Daniel from Tharaka Nithi chapter, the CEO, Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We have not done much, but we are doing. We have got some sanitizers. We have also provided some of our business community with masks. Hello. Can you hear
Hey,
me?
Daniel, can you hear me?
Yes.
If you can speak up just a little bit, and I want to use your first sentence as a learning opportunity for everybody, is that we have not done much. I need to turn that around to we are proactive in helping members, proactive in our community. So I think that you probably have done much. You just might be humble.
Thank you.
Yes, sir.
We have tried our level best. We have provided masks to our members. We have also gone ahead and provided sanitizers. And we are in the process of seeing to it whether we can provide tanks for provision of running water.
Good.
Yes.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you too.
Yeah.
Thank you, Daniel. Please, if you have actually something to share, please use the chat option, and I will try to call on some of you as we're going through this. I'd like to turn to Maggie Olele, who is over there in Nigeria. Maggie, can you unmute yourself and share with us?
Yeah, thank you, Lars. So one of the things the first thing we did was to ensure that we had a three-pronged approach in terms of communication, advocacy, and responsibility. And I found it very interesting when I saw that in Bob's slide. We realized my organization is the American Business Council. We're the AmCham in Nigeria. And we have over 55 members, likely US corporates. And so we felt there was a to increase, ramp up communication, internal communication with our companies. And so usually emails work, but most people being at home may not be able to check their emails. And so we started using almost real time the WhatsApp to communicate issues, to get members to share their concerns and all. And that was one of the first things we did. We also shared through a press release, published in a lot of national dailies and our social media websites what we're doing and what our members are doing to support governments in the area of the pandemic situation. And then we had a webinar that was coordinated by the Boston Consulting Group. They are members of the American Business Council, for leaders in different spheres, whether they're in politics and that's government and other corporate stakeholders who are not necessarily members of the ABC, and also ABC members, to share with them how leaders should plan and provide for the future. We did this in partnership with, and that's where collaboration is critical. We did that in partnership with the Abuja Chamber of Commerce and the Nigerian American Chamber of Commerce and the African Venture Philanthropy Alliance. So, but we anchored this, and it was a great success. So, and we were able to communicate that as well to let people know that is also what we are doing. In the area of advocacy, we realized that a couple of bills and a couple of policies were being passed by government in the area of the economic stimulus, and we felt we needed to push our voice, in that. And we coordinated also with the U.S. Chamber to get some of their insights, as well as other members as well. We're at the final.
Maggie, we seem to have lost audio. Okay.
Hey, Lars, do you remember what the three-prong approach? I liked it. Was communicate, advocate, and the third one?
I don't think I captured it.
Okay. So here's what I would do for my short-term recovery plan. There's the AmCham Nigeria. Maggie was able to say communicate, WhatsApp, webinars, outreach, advocate, the coordination, public policy, serving as a voice, and then there's a third column there. I apologize for not hearing it, but that would be my way of communicating to the members when they go, "What are you doing for me?" I want to be able to say, "Well, here's our chart. Here's exactly what we're doing for you on a regular basis, and our staff and our committees and our partners are helping us with this." Did we lose Maggie?
I think we did. I'm going to call on somebody else. I just am cognizant of the time. We do have a 90 minutes with Bob scheduled today, so this will continue. We will be starting again next week at the same time. This will be on April 29th at the same time. I encourage you to email us at africa@cipe.org if you want to be included in the mailing list for future webinars. And in addition, you can communicate with us at Africa on Twitter. In the meantime, I'm going to turn over to, I know people might have some other appointments at this time, so feel free to drop off if you need to be elsewhere. But I'm going to turn to the Lagos Chamber of Commerce and Industry, and hopefully we can hear from Babatola Adeyemi about something interesting that they're doing as well. So Babatola, if you are still with us, can you unmute yourself? And I know we have somebody else also from the Lagos Chamber.
Yes, so thank you so much for this beautiful opportunity. Some of the things Bob mentioned are things that we are doing already about impact analysis, how members are getting dividends from what the chamber is doing. But the takeaway for me today is how to ensure that members know how to recover in the immediate run and in the long run. That's a very good one that we'll be working on. But presently, we are giving information to members, and we are helping members to get over the COVID situation. Now, for instance, recently, we sent a mail to all members to ensure that they benefit from a funding arrangement, a loan from Nigeria Central Bank to help to mitigate the effects of what is happening presently. So that's just a brief information I want to pass around. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Babatola.
All right.
Thank you. And I'm going to turn to John Mate, who's working with one of CIPE's Center of Excellences in Kenya. We've actually highlighted them, I think, as well in a couple of newsletters. So John, I will go ahead and unmute you. Yep, you are unmuted. So John, please.
Thank you. This is John Mate from Embu chapter of Kenya National Chamber of Commerce and Industry. We are privileged to be a center of excellence by partnering with the CIPE. And among the few things that we are able to do in our small way, because right now we are not able to do very much for the traders. One, we have branded our vehicle, which is moving around the towns, still reminding people of the directives that are given by the government to be in a position to bring down the curve of the COVID-19. Every morning we go around our markets, reminding people that they have to wash their hands, they have to use their sanitizers, they have to use their masks. That is what we are doing with our vehicles. Two, we are producing hand wash for local traders, especially the SMEs that are not able to purchase it every other time. We are working closely with the county government. And today, actually, I have joined this meeting late because the county governor, His Excellency Martin Nyagwambora, was launching another issue where he was issuing sanitizers and other materials that are meant again to safeguard our people. And I am in the emergency response committee team. So we are working with the government very closely, and we are providing materials that are needed by our people for making sure that they remain clean and safe. And again, besides that, we are also partnering with the counties that are next to us, also show them how to work with the minimal resources that are available so that they can serve their people better. But what we have done best is making sure that every other time we pass a message, either in the social media or in the mainstream media, to make sure that people are listening to what we are saying, because we are just repeating what the government is keeping saying, and we are monitoring. Especially the government gave instructions for social places to be closed. So as a BMO, we are going around making sure that bars are not open, because immediately people start drinking, they will get careless, they will forget what directives have been put in place. And we are making sure that these social places are not operating as at now. And that is how we have managed to keep Embu out of Corona. We have not reported the first case yet, and we are praying God that we do not report it. We will keep vigilant so that every other time we are able to monitor whatever is happening. And we are also participating in every webinar like this one, where the National Council is managing through the Ministry of Health and the Ministry of Interior. And that way we have managed to follow very closely what the directives have been given, and we are assisting our people.
Thank you, John.
John, congratulations, good work. What I hear is the 3 Ps. We partner with government to get the word out. We have products that we are coordinating to make sure that people are sanitized and safe, and that we are in public policy, private-public dialogues, working with government and making sure that anything they pass does not injure industry and business. So, John, I think it's a great path that you're on. Excellent.
Thank you so much.
Yes, sir.
Just a point, Bob, Maggie came back to us, and the third area is corporate responsibility, which I'm sure is going to be specifically what companies are doing to affect the pandemic recovery and economic recovery in their areas.
Communicate, advocate, and corporate social responsibility. Maggie, good work.
All right, Wumi.
Wumi.
I'm going to turn to Wumi. So Wumi, we are going to unmute you, and you have an example to share as well. Oh, you are unmuted, so please proceed, Wumi. Wumi, we can't hear anything. For everybody, Wumi Badamosi is CIPE's Nigeria country director.
I thought she was the Bob Harris of Nigeria.
She is, yes. Wumi, yes, we have no audio. All right, I will read. She says, Nasima's initiative is worthy of sharing. Chinas is here and can share insights. So maybe she's passing the buck. Chinas, if you are still with us, I'm going to turn to you. And then what I'd like to do is sort of, if anybody has any specific questions for Bob and for some of our other experts on the call, please feel free to share them right now. And again, I want to put out a reminder that if you are interested in communicating with us and sharing some of these great examples we've heard, please use our talking about at CIPE Africa. Excuse me, I keep on messing that up, but it's, again, the CIPE Twitter account is at CIPE Africa. And I welcome all of you also to join and follow us as well. We'll be sharing and communicating a bit of information through that Twitter handle. Excellent. So we do have a question. It's from Yusuf, who did speak to us before. It's specifically targeted at CIPE. What are we doing in Ethiopia? CIPE has, and we'd love to.
Yeah, she's also joining the meeting. Yeah,
she's going to be the future association leader in Egypt.
Excellent.
Yeah. Sure. Because I'm staying at home, so I'm with my daughters. Anyway, what I would like to ask is, what specific capacity building programs do you have in Ethiopia, especially for CIPE? So I would like to know if you have specifically on the current situation, if you have any specific program that you can collaborate with our chamber. If you have any program, I would like to know this.
Fabulous. Yeah, I mean, CIPE has a office in Ethiopia. We actually, and we are, it's growing every day or every week. We have a series of different programs there, primarily working with chambers and association in the regions across Ethiopia in terms of assisting them in some of their advocacy efforts. In addition to that, we are about to start a resource center for civil society organizations and assist them in their advocacy efforts. Finally, as it relates to COVID, we are working with two partners, the Pan-African Chamber of Commerce and Industry, which I believe you're a member of, as well as Initiative Africa, in terms of specifically developing a response to the COVID-19 problem. And I'm not listening and following Bob's advice here, but the pandemic recovery and and economic recovery. So, I mean, I'm happy to share with you and we'll communicate with you offline, but we do have a very large program in Ethiopia, and we are working with specifically also around the elections, and eventually we'll be working with the Constitution. So we have some more people to share, but in the essence of time, I really just would like to, if anybody has any specific questions now for CIPE or for specifically Bob, while we still have this time, please either come on in terms of the video so that I know you have something you're interested in asking, or type in the chat button. And I'll give a few seconds if anybody has anything they are interested. And if we don't, then what we will do is I'm going to turn to Isoka Seth from the West Pokot Chamber of Commerce in Kenya to share another example. So I'll give this a few more minutes or a few more seconds in terms of if you do have a question that you're dying to ask or Bob Harris, please do so now. We've heard a lot of great stories today, and so CIPE is trying to collect these. We will be putting these into our newsletters. If you have resources that you would like for CIPE to share with us, and so that we can share with everybody else, please send them to africa@cipe.org. And if you are trying to communicate with us in terms of also sharing on Twitter, again, the handle is @CIPE Africa. And please join us. And we have a special section there where we are sharing all information as it relates to chambers, the good work that chambers and associations are doing across the continent. Again, are there any questions? I don't see any. So I'm going to turn to and this will be the last sort of story that we will take today, and then I will hand this back to Bob to briefly wrap up. So Isoko, are you still with us? I'm trying to, please unmute yourself. Okay, I'm unmuting Isoko. Isoka, you are on. Isoka, are you there? You're unmuted. I'm on. Okay. Isoka, I see that. Okay, it seems as if, I don't know if Isoka can join us. Okay. All right. I then will hand this back to Bob. And then I'll just say some final words. Thank you very much, everyone. Bob?
Lars, thank you very much. So the sharing, I really appreciate. I also learned from you. I like what I've heard. Wisborne, I love your plan for current recovery and current conditions, and then the recovery plan after that. We talked about that being a short-term and a long-term plan for this year. Good work. John, I love the promoting the product, working with government, developing policy. Maggie, I love the 3 elements of communicate, advocate, and social responsibility. I would hope that that is framed and people can see exactly what you're doing for me as a member and they understand it, and you continue to build under those 3 headings: communicate, advocate, and social responsibility. So I think associations and chambers are very innovative, very strategic. You've proven that it's the same around the world. I commend all of you for, as volunteers, for the hard work, for as professional staff, for the long hours you're putting in. Don't let the association and the Chamber of Commerce burn down. Take care of yourself, take care of the organization. I look forward to working with you next week, and let's get to the topics that you would like. You're welcome to email those to me, to Lars, to the team, but I want to focus on what your needs are. Lars, thank you for this opportunity.
So again, Bob, I don't think we can unmute and hear everybody clapping, but truly I want
Thanks.
on behalf of everyone here at CIPE and all of our partners and all of our colleagues in chambers and associations on the continent. You did talk about, we will be having another webinar on April 29th at 9 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will be sending out an invitation. I believe we will have a new platform to be using next week. And so therefore, I strongly encourage, if you have an interest in joining this Bob's webinar next week and in future webinars CIPE Africa will be hosting, please email us at africa@cipe.org so that we can make sure that we include you on the mailing list. We are putting together a newsletter to share all of these stories that we've heard in the last 15 or 20 minutes. And we really encourage you all, I think this was excellent, to please send us resources, to please send us what you are doing, so that we can share with our extensive database of associations and chambers this information. And you also can connect with us via our Twitter at CIPE Africa, in terms of sharing stories there, but as well as seeing what others are up to. So I really would like to thank Bob. He's a true friend and a collaborator with CIPE, and as we have all seen today, a true expert as it relates to chambers and associations from around the world. So Bob, on behalf of all of the participants here today, thank you very, very much, and we really, truly look forward to next week. And as Bob mentioned, if you have specific topic areas, we didn't cover everything today, but that was the intent. I think one of the important things is not only having Bob share his experience and expertise, but as well for us to hear from everyone in terms of on the continent and all of the good work that you are doing. So again, on behalf of CIPE, thank you, and we look forward to hopefully having you join us on future webinars. And I also want to say that this would not have been possible without a great team that we have here at CIPE. I specifically want to thank Michael and Laura on the CIPE Africa team for making this work as smoothly as it did today. And thank you, both Michael and Laura, for all of your work and effort. So thank everyone, and I hope you continue to have a safe and a good day for those of you who are in Africa. Thank you.
Thank you.